Welcome back to the channel. Not streaming this, making a video real quick. Uh, I don't think this will be too long. I'm tired. It's late, but I found this interesting because I say this all the time. The more the conversation we need to be having is how do we deal with the wealth inequality gap, and this could be a good step. And this is also why I don't think we should cancel Jubilee, by the way, because it introduces conversations like this.
Is how much are you currently worth, and how did you amass that amount of money?
I'm a lawyer. I went to law school and became a lawyer, but I'm also a serial entrepreneur. I built
It's
I don't
comfortable.
care about
very,
his career.
but you don't feel like it because you don't spend it. When you grow up a certain way, it's not like it's changed much in my life. I'm in the same house. I don't spend the money that you would think I'd spend. It's odd because you have all this money in the bank, but it doesn't really change what you do day to day.
My question for you is, what stops you from using your wealth to change somebody's life?
Nothing. Listen, I live three places. I live in Florida, I live in Maui, Hawaii, and I live in New Hampshire. But I've taken my wealth and done certain things. Like in Florida, where I live, I ran a constitutional amendment twice to legalize medical marijuana. I lost the first time, but I won the second time with 72% of the vote. I believe that income inequality is the number one issue facing America today. The rich are
I respect it so much. I'm not like one of those weirdos on social media who just be bitching and complaining about anytime someone successful or rich says something to help everybody else, right? There's a recent thing with like Pedro Pascal, right, where he was like, "We should do this to help the country," and this bozo on social media was like, "Well, it's easy for you to say that, being blah blah blah." Now, my surprised look on my face is because this guy's a billionaire, so he makes more money than Pedro. Let's be very clear. He makes more money than Pedro. But it's interesting because once we hit billions, it's interesting to say that he knows that income inequality is the biggest issue we have right now. But let's
getting
continue.
richer, the poor are getting poorer. And every day the gulf is getting wider. So what did I do? I ran a constitutional amendment. I spent tens of millions of dollars to raise the minimum wage from $8 an hour to $15 an hour in Florida. That's a doubling of the minimum wage. So I
Okay, so he uses his wealth to endorse campaigns that's supposed to help the poor middle class. I respect that. I think that is very valuable. I do think, and maybe there's a level of ignorance here, because you can't really equate. I'm not going to call this guy stupid because he obviously can't be stupid to be this rich, but let's say not informed enough in terms of propagating certain voices to have more of an impact, right? So once you have this amount of wealth, you could do something like start a media company to push certain political voices that are enhancing the people and what they're doing. Now, maybe he's too busy. Maybe he doesn't even know how to do that stuff. Maybe nobody told him. I don't know. Really hard to say. I feel like there's a lot of things you can do other than endorsing a piece of legislation, but like,
take that money
continue.
that I make and I've run those constitutional amendments and I've put money into food banks and coalition for the homeless, and it goes on and on. And I will tell you this, not to pat me on the back too much about it, because I don't really feel it. I don't really feel it. I was at lunch the other day and this woman walks up to me. She says, "John, I just want to thank you and your wife for the donation you made to iDignity." I didn't know what iDignity was. I said, "How much do we give?" She said, $500,000. It turns out that my wife had given the money. And by the way, if you want money, call my wife. And iDignity is a place for the poorest of the poor to get identification, because more and more in this country, you need to have an identification just to get food stamps. I believe when you make this kind of money, you have an obligation to give it back. You don't feel it. It doesn't hurt you. You can look at me and know I'm not missing too many meals. So I don't feel like I'm doing anything special. I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
So I'm going to
I respect this so much, and you got to give some credence to that. Like, yes, he's a billionaire, or maybe this is just a superfluous title, and he's just a millionaire or hundreds of millionaire. But the fact that he's willing to have this conversation and get questions asked to him, I think inherently says a lot, right? Um, I wish, because I'm not for just giving your money to people, because a lot of people could just waste it, right? He made a habit of saying that I don't spend my money. But I wish there was a way for like influential, practical, logical, and valuable voices to get in the ears of these individuals, right? There are things that I do on my platform, and my platform is by no means the biggest. Um, but there's things that I do on my platform to try to propagate certain things that I do think are super valuable, right? One of the things is I push for a platform called Informed that's supposed to help in terms of people getting more effective and efficient news. And another thing that I advocate for is star voting. Another thing I advocate for is a paint that uses algae to absorb carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. There are so many things that I put in every podcast description that I have a whole playlist of podcast episodes that people can watch, that people can listen to and hear a solution that they've never heard before. And these things require two things: notoriety and funding. And I just wish that people who have the ability to provide both could lend their ear. And honestly, when you're that influential, powerful, and rich and wealthy, you always are very cognizant and very particular in terms of the people you lend your ear to. So it's a fine line. Still, very rich man. You could always do more. But I still respect I respect the things he's saying. I can't tell if he's full of crap or not, but I don't want to. I'll just go based on what I'm told here.
Try to rephrase it. What stops you from getting out that car at the moment where you and your son and you seen the homeless person? What stops you from changing that person's life?
Well, we have.
You're just giving some guy money. Yeah, I don't agree to that at all.
Get out of the car from sometimes. When I pull up to a stoplight and there's somebody out there begging for food, even if they look like they've been eating donuts for the last 10 years, I give them money because I'm not going to judge them. I have to look at them this way. They're out there on the street in the heat. I don't know what they're doing out there, but you know what? It's not my job to judge.
I feel like a lot of billionaires, they say the same thing. They say they do donate and they do give to people. You give to organizations and large conglomerates that take your money and they break it up and they throw it around. If you're not handing something down to help somebody who really needs it, what does it
Sounds like you want a handout. Oh, he gives his money to an organization that just throws it around. What kind of characterization is that? And people who really need it. What people? What do you want him to do? Just give you millions of dollars? Is that what you want?
matter?
You're in the law field, and that's how you've amassed your network and everything that you've earned. If you had to start over in a different industry, what would you be in order to become a billionaire again?
I don't care about this question, but feel free to watch Jubilee. I'm more interested in the more potent questions that challenge his wealth versus the average person.
For raising the minimum wage for $15 an hour here in Florida. Is there anyone at your law firm or your multiple businesses that you're paying less than $15 an hour now?
No. And I wasn't paying less then because I believe that
Other billionaires
I respect.
doing the same thing that you're doing?
Well, I think some are and some aren't. A lot of people have to, like once I raised the minimum wage here in Florida, all of a sudden, out of the blue, Universal raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour. I kind of took credit for that. At a certain point, when wages start to rise, businesses have to respond because if Universal's paying $15, then Disney's got to pay $15 because who cares if you're running Small World or Harry Potter? You're looking for a job.
So you mentioned a little bit how you've put money into politics and things
Okay.
like that, and in the current political climate in the United States, our government's run by the billionaires, kind of for the billionaires. What do you think the moral role of a billionaire should be within the United States government?
By and large, the opposite of what it is. These fat cats got so much money, but they want the tax laws to benefit them. Like these hedge fund people don't even pay taxes. And so the billionaires are not satisfied with what they have. They want more and more and more and more. And what my worry is, this income inequality, at some point there's a breaking point. At some point you can become Cuba. And what I would say to these billionaires, you're going to make this gulf so big and so vast just because you don't think it could ever happen in America. Just remember January 6th. Just remember them storming the Capitol. Those were the barbarians at the gate, and they were mad as hell. And you know what they're mad about? They were mad because they think they're going to fall further and further behind. They weren't mad, and they thought Donald Trump was the one that could do it for them. But that's why they stormed the Capitol. And when I saw it, I said,
He's making really good points. Oh, see, man, I don't want to be pessimistic and go like but you're a billionaire, and use his title against everything he's saying, because what he's saying is correct. They are accurate characterizations of society right now. I respect it. I do respect it. I really do respect what he's saying.
That could be our future if we let the haves and the have-nots get so separated.
I think everybody knows that probably every single billionaire does evade taxes. And he did say that he wants billionaires to be taxed so high, but I can promise you he probably has found ways to evade taxes.
Back in around like 1940s, the tax rate was around like 90s, higher than 90%, right? Would you be somebody that would advocate to bring back such a high tax?
See, once you have this negative perception because these people have so much wealth, it does make me question, what are you doing with that wealth? And he just says he doesn't spend it, and it just accumulates. I guess that's possible.
Tax rate in order to redistribute the wealth?
I don't know about 90%
Maybe.
because you got to have some motivation. Listen, I am a capitalist. I believe in capitalism, but I also believe we have to do the most for the most with least.
So when you mention capitalism, right? Capitalism is kind of inherently parasitical, right? You're going to always take more from the workers. You're going to put a profit on their labor that they're putting into the business. And I think now we're seeing that capitalism inherently causes these income inequalities. So I think we need to expand those social safety nets. We need to increase taxes on the wealthy in order to allow the poor to enjoy, the things that maybe you enjoyed when you were younger and things like that.
Well, look, I agree with you. And I think it's really for these people who are so rich, they're going to lose it one way or the other if they don't. Because look, the thing about, you got socialism and capitalism. Socialism on paper makes a lot of sense, but then you got to count on everybody working. Will they all work? But in the short run, what we're seeing right now with this big, beautiful bill that they're talking about, we're talking about cutting all sorts of benefits to give more money to the rich and dig our country into trillions of.
Again, he's just correct about. Is he a Democrat? Okay, he got some good takes, man. He makes a lot of money. Hey, man, I know I was grilling that one dude about just wanting a handout. I will always take a handout. Let's be very clear. My hand will always be out, and I will accept anything that is sent my way. I just won't beg for it. But if you just want to, generously give to the Purple Political Breakdown, the platform that is here for actual political solutions, then I will accept. Thank you very much.
Or long-term debt. And I look at it and I scratch my head. The rich should be taxed bigger and harder. And so the reason I'm more for capitalism is because if you go to a socialistic country like France
is not socialist.
France is not?
No. You look at, let's say China. We'll give China for
example. China's not. China's communism. I've been to China.
China's not communist.
Huh?
China's not communist. They're run by the Chinese Communist Party, but they're not.
What are they?
They're a socialist country.
Socialist?
Yes. And you look at their infrastructure.
Hey, man, I've been to China.
Their wealth inequality, and it's actually,
playing little semantics games. In terms of how you kind of perceive what socialism is, it's definitely saying China is socialist is just not true.
Pretty good.
Have you ever been to China?
Have I? No.
Let me tell you something. It is the most oppressed country
I've
ever been to.
Look, no, China is not oppressed. Look at China. China is the.
Oh, he's defending China. Interesting.
They have great social safety nets.
You need to go to China and watch the people with their heads down.
This is a completely different China we're talking about. I'm
talking about China today.
I'm talking, yeah. Okay, if we're talking about China today, then no.
So then you have drank the wrong Kool-Aid.
I was like, oh, I'm the only Asian person in the room. So it's like so weird to see somebody kind of like debate about a country that my mom is from. I would have to agree with John more in terms of like China being a communist country.
John, I'm a parent. And one.
See, okay, that guy. It's very obvious that he advocates for socialism based on how he was talking. But I mean, he was making some good. John, the billionaire, was talking about how he would increase taxes. So, I respect that. I didn't expect me to agree with the billionaire so much. I'm not gonna lie. Interesting.
One of the challenges I have is making sure that my mindset is not my children's mindset. How do you overcome that challenge as a billionaire to make sure your children have their own mindsets?
That's hard to do because they live with you and they hear you. The interesting thing about life is you get older, you start listening to your children, you're like, they're stealing first. And that's the only mindset that I wanted them to take, and I think that they have done that.
One of my goals, I think, is to make my kids better than me. What's your main challenge that you see as a billionaire making your kids better than you?
Separate that friend as hard as it is.
So you just mentioned that when you have a child who is having a friend that you find them to be not good for them, essentially, that you have to do what you can to separate them. As a billionaire, what does that entail for you?
Well, you can only do so much. I mean, I've only separated 2 friends in all the years. And one was a kid who used to come over and, he just reeked of marijuana and he was stoned. And I just had a bad vibe.
You didn't allow your son to be friends with someone who smoked pot because he smelled loud and he smoked weed. So why would you advocate for a bill like that to be passed when you kicked someone out of your family's circle who was smoking weed themselves?
When my brother
Well, there's a difference between medical marijuana and just smelling like a pothead. That's just an obvious question, but yeah, these are not questions I'm too interested in.
it's
so
a
I'm gonna skip them.
no-brainer. So I don't think marijuana use is on the rise. Let me tell you something. If you want marijuana today, go to any middle school in America.
Yep.
And we'll have a
Kind of spitting again. I have marijuana. I don't really smoke that much though. Like maybe if I'm like, all right, I need a little kick. For the most part, I'm not a big smoker.
nickel bag real fast.
Yeah. So do you feel that there's an ethical gray area when it comes to use of marijuana?
I don't care about
medical
marijuana.
And here's the proof in the pudding. 1 million people in Florida have a card, and guess who uses it mostly? People 65 and older. Go to the marijuana stores, look at the marijuana stores, look who's going in. It ain't kids, it's me.
Yeah, so I'm still really confused about the marijuana thing. I feel like with a lot of billionaires, they do want to care for people, but they really don't want them around them. So that's what I feel that you feel with marijuana. You're fine with people growing it. You're fine with people doing whatever. But right when it's in your house, you don't really care about the person. You want them not around you or your family.
So what? I don't care if people grow marijuana either, but I don't want my house smelling like marijuana. That's not a fuck. That's so.
I'd take a gummy every night. It's in my house what are you talking about?
Then why did you kick the person out of your house?
He was a kid who I thought was not just that he reeked of marijuana. He was a kid who I thought was bad news. I didn't think that he was bad influence. So,
Yo, she wants to be antagonistic so bad. I mean, I get it. I understand that he's a billionaire. Just imagine you have all these negative preconceived notions about someone, right? And there's a label that they are. And then they come and you're talking to them and they're saying like all the right things. Some people are gonna feel some type of way, right? They're like, no, I need to find someone. I need to reveal his true colors somehow. And that's what I felt like that question was.
don't take it the wrong way.
Okay, so you kind of briefly talked on like for-profit CEOs and things like that. I was just kind of hoping to hear your take on the current state of healthcare and what recently.
Oh, there we
with
go.
CEO.
Interesting
Before I
question.
answer that question, I want to go back to the coach's question about marijuana, just so everybody understands where I stand. If John Morgan was king, I'd legalize marijuana all over the country, and I'd let you grow it at your house. So that's how I feel about marijuana. As far as the healthcare, think about this for a minute. There's only one place that we go ever, and we never ask what it costs. When you go to get your hair cut, what's the cost? When you go to buy a candy bar, what's it cost? When you walk into a hospital, none of us ever ask what it's going to cost. You can get a Tylenol pill over here for $20. It could be $1 at the other hospital. The of the insurance industry by healthcare is awful. It's off the charts. Our pharmaceuticals in this country are way more money than pharmaceuticals in his favorite country, China. And so you've got the healthcare where we
Yo, she's talking. Yo, oh my God, he's doing a good job. I'm not gonna lie. Oh fuck, I learned it recently why pharmaceutical pills are cheaper at other countries than they are here. I forgot it was a pretty good reason. I'm trying to remember. Do I want to look it up? It's late. I want to sleep. So no, but I did hear the good reason. I think I would have to think about it. Someone may know in the comment section.
don't ask what things cost. And then you got insurance companies who are fighting healthcare, and they're trying to gouge. The hospitals are trying to gouge. The insurance companies are trying to not be gouged. They're fighting. And guess who's stuck in the middle?
Yeah, man. We all agree that the healthcare system in America is ass.
Person who needs treatment, the person who has cancer, and they're saying, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. And then what happens? People go postal. People snap.
So would you be in favor then of a socialized form of healthcare in the United States?
I don't
He
know.
really is pushing socialism. He's really a big socialist. Obviously, the far lefty. No, I don't. I don't want to socialize healthcare. But if we're talking about universal healthcare, because I think that's what he's talking about.
How it will work. Listen,
Every other
Barack O-
country, every other major country has a socialized form of healthcare.
when Obama was president, he came to my
It depends on the healthcare. So you're speaking in generalities, and it's obvious you have a favor towards certain countries.
house as president. I supported Obama. I'm on the National Finance Committee for Obama. And one of the things that I really liked about Obama was Obamacare. A lot of people lost their House seats for voting for Obamacare. So listen, I'm all ears about anything we can do to get more medicine and more treatment to people. My brother-in-law is a physician up in Haines City, Florida. I have a clinic called the Morgan & Morgan Clinic where he runs it, I fund it, and we take care of everybody who has lost in the system who can't get care.
How do you deal with profiting over other people's injuries in your law firm?
Every business is in business to make a profit. If you don't have a profit, you don't have a business. On the other side of me and on the other side of my clients are insurance companies. Insurance companies do this. They take in premiums and they try not to pay claims. When they try not to pay claims fairly, that's when I'm hired. When I'm hired, the people who are hiring me cannot afford a lawyer by the hour. And the insurance industry, they live in this world. Deny, delay, defend. Their job is to never be fair with you. The people who come to me at their time of need.
You got to realize that a lot of these billionaires are like expert salesmen too. They know how to talk. They know how to defend. He's saying all the good things. I would have to really deep dive his behavior to see if everything he's saying is following. I'm not going to do that now. I might look in the comment section to see what people are saying. But I also don't trust what people say in the comment section either. I just think I just like his mindset. I like what he's saying. I think even if he's full of shit, we can use the quotes he is saying, one, against him if he's full of crap, or two, against other rich individuals as inflaming the tension between billionaires. So this is some good stuff.
Or people who've had something taken from them. The business I'm in is being the key to the courthouse for people who can't afford it, taking all of the risk. And believe me, I've lost some cases where I've written off millions of dollars. But at the end of the day, the only thing between me and them getting a fair shake from the insurance industry is what we do, which is take them to trial. So I never even realized it could be this lucrative until I got in it. But I've also scaled it in such a way that most personal injury firms are like, one-trick ponies in one city. I built mine throughout the entire United States. And by having the scale that I have, my profit got a lot bigger.
You have mentioned before that you make money off of people's injuries and stuff like that. Do you think it's ethical to, I don't want to say take advantage of people, but take advantage of people when they're most vulnerable?
I think what I do is highly ethical. I think that the insurance industry is very.
I mean, if your job is to be a lawyer, then
I see my family and I want to treat them exactly the way I would have wanted to be treated.
Do you believe most billionaires and lawyers are compassionate?
I think it all depends on the person. I believe what's helped me in my life was I came from a very difficult childhood with a lot of economic insecurity and alcoholism. Everything bad that you could think happened did happen. But the good thing about those things, if you take it the right way, is those things can generate later in life serious compassion on your part. Whenever I would see somebody homeless, I used to tell my children, just remember this, they don't want to be there. And once upon a time, that was a little girl and little boy eating an ice cream cone, swinging, having the time of their life. And they don't want to be there. And don't judge them because we don't know how they got there.
John, how do you care for your clients when you're done with them? I know your motto is for the people, but it seems like it's only for the client. Up until a certain point, the award is won, the case is closed. How do you take care of your people after you're done with them?
Here's how I take care of the people. I change conduct. I just got a big verdict against Takata airbags down in Miami a few weeks ago. I can promise you this, because of my cases, Takata, I'll never represent the people who will never know me. I'm changing conduct.
My question to you, throughout law school, I heard a lot that lawyers are the reason why insurance costs so much and it's expensive. So what is your take on that?
Well, you heard that from the insurance industry. There's
He
Google what
really
their
hates the
CEOs are
insurance
making.
industries.
They're not hurting. They're making a lot of money.
If you lost all of your wealth tomorrow, what would be your next step in this struggling economy? Do you think you could pull it off? Do you think you could be just as successful?
I think if I did this again, I would not be this successful. This has been a series of left turns and right turns. And all of a sudden,
You feel like you had to sacrifice part of yourself or your faith or your family to be able to get where you are today?
not at all, because my faith has been at the forefront of everything I've done. It's the teachings from my faith guide me not only in works is dead.
I personally work at my family's cafe, and I was wondering, how much do you normally tip customer service workers that are in serving positions?
$100. And I'll tell you why. So I don't know where your cafe is, but let me know and I'll come.
I'm genuinely curious to hear like basically every question. This is one of those. I'm glad it's short too, but like, I would be very interested to have a deep dialogue with this guy.
Come in and
Amazing.
leave you $100 tip.
I'll definitely let you know. That's an amazing tip. Thank you, John.
Do you believe it's justifiable to be worth $1 billion while millions live in poverty?
No. If I could undo it all and let us all be the same, that's what I would do.
Okay, and do you believe, because I heard something about how you don't agree with the government spending, which I actually do agree with, so how would you split up the money?
I don't think he should have said that. Let me hear that again.
I'll definitely let you know. That's an amazing tip. Thank you, John.
Do you believe it's justifiable to be worth $1 billion while millions live in poverty?
No. If I could undo it all and let us all be the same, that's what I would do.
Okay, and do you believe, because
I feel like that requires more context, right? I mean, practically that wouldn't make sense. Ethically, I understand the sentiment. I feel like that would require more of an explanation on how you would do that, but I mean, it's a hypothetical scenario, so you really don't need an explanation.
I heard something about how you don't agree with the government spending, which I actually do agree with, so how would you split up the money?
The most to the most with the least. I believe that there are people that are, I don't believe it, I know it. When you go out to the Morgan Hunger Relief Center, the people that are walking in there are not the homeless. They're walking in there dressed in work clothes with their children to get free food. And it's an abomination.
Yeah, because I go to the University of Florida because I remember you mentioning it. And one thing I've noticed as a college student is that there is a lot of corruption throughout it, from the president, even from student government funneling millions. And then when I look into to see what happened to them, nothing really happened. They didn't go to jail or anything.
Look, the University of Florida, they hired this president who was just a buddy of the governor's, and he came up there and raped the University of Florida and took so much money, and he's still on the payroll, Ben Sass.
Yeah, that's what a lot of college students are talking about.
It's an outrage. And by the way, when you Google those articles, the alligator, I'm all over those all over those articles, ripping him a new.
So you just mentioned that everyone's a
Interesting. I think this interesting. I'm trying to see what will be the impact. I think it's very. I think I understand. It's directed, intentional movements. Oftentimes, when people are, especially like on the, I would say on the very progressive, their battle is like branched out everywhere. It's everybody up there. You are the enemy. One of the big issues that I have with society is obviously wealth inequality. But I think this video showcases that you don't have to make everybody above this line your enemy. There are allies up there. You just got to find them. Is he an ally? Really hard to say. But there is something to gauge, or there's something to grasp from this conversation.
Politician now, but you also said that you also have done at least 2 different things with legislation. So would you consider yourself to also be a politician?
Sorta. You know, everybody wants me to run for governor of Florida right now. When I'd go to the White House, they'd take me over to the side and show me polling on me. But there's a side of me that thinks I could be good at it. But then there's a side of me that really enjoys living in Maui half the year. So I became sort of a politician because, listen.
Yo, that socialist is pissed. He got embarrassed and now he's pissed.
They were fighting me hard on the minimum wage. They were fighting me hard on medical marijuana. And I was out debating sheriffs, and everybody I was debating had a green suit on and a gun. So it's like, a little hard to debate them. So I was sort of a politician because I was in the political realm. And that's why all this talk about me, about people wanting me to run for governor is percolating.
So
Against DeSantis. It's also interesting. There's a lot of branching conversations from this.
today, I think we've all sat here and we've heard you talk about your jet and Maui and your 3 homes and the money that sits in your account that you don't care to touch. I think we all have experienced at some point in time that moment that you talked about as a kid, sitting there hoping and praying that somebody would help you. So I guess my question that you didn't really answer, you just told me how much you have. What stops you from helping every person in this room that's struggling right now?
So he wants free money. That's basically the question here.
Can't pay a bill, had to miss out on work. How do you help them? What do you do? Because you got a private jet, but I had to take off from work today and I'm struggling. I got bills, man. And I'm not begging for money, but I'm saying, what stops you from being able to go and help us?
You are begging for your money. You are begging for money. Let's be very clear. I don't care what you say you're not doing. You are begging for money. You also chose to be here. So, like, I hear you. I want to fix society too, but I want to be very clear on what your intentions are. You're hoping he gives you money. Very simple.
Change our lives. Because
let me give you 100 while we're here.
Yeah, you got it. You got the $100, and you smiled.
One thing that I took from that meeting, and here's what I took: I can't change the whole world. I would love to be able to, but the phrase that I took from that Crescio weekend was "bloom where you're planted." What does that mean? That means I can't solve hardly anything, but every once in a while, I'll get a God whisper, somebody asking. Then I think back to that Crescio, and it's like, bloom where you're planted. And I feel like at this moment, that's what I'm being asked to do. And I can only do so much. I'm trying to manage my money so that at the end of it all, it can have the greatest bang for its buck.
If I'm being completely honest, I'm not sure if there's anything that would have been a perfect answer, just because he's really good at talking to you and he's a likable guy and he's soft in the eyes. So it's easy for him to get you on his side. So I don't know if there's anything he could have said that would have completely changed my mind. But I think showing your actions, he handed me $100, but there were people in the room had told their stories throughout the day. And with a wad of cash in your hand, you could shut me up, but he could have given it to everybody. He could have shown in that moment that he has the power to.
Just so you just want, oh my God. This is what I'm talking about. This is why we can't have a society where people are just giving money. Well, we can have a society where we can create a system so people who want to succeed can succeed. We're not optimizing those who want it. We're not optimizing those who want to succeed. Not at all. A lot of it is right place, right time. A lot of it is knowing the right people. Right? And for a society that is so innovative, that has so many advanced technology that can put you in so many different areas, for all the money and wealth we have and all the influence we have, we can do this. There's a lot of people who choose not to. I'm curious what the comments are saying. Next on Jubilee, Frederick versus 20 people watched this video and commented about Frederick. Bro skipped work to beg for some. Oh, I had a feeling that this boy was gonna get cut. What started from you change someone's life? Frederick asked. Frederick acted like he was forced to skip work and be here. Yeah, he's getting cooked. Call my wife is the most asked your mom, but thought he is in a Mr. Beast giveaway. Gave Frederick 100 just to shut the fuck up. Oh, that's even worse than an entitled person. I find it interesting that many of the questions come from a place of hostility. It's like they came ready for him to be a bad guy just because he has money. I mean, there always should be a skepticism of billionaires. And there should be questions on whether or not his accumulated wealth is truly being optimized for benefiting society. Just because you can't solve all the world's problems doesn't mean that you can't put your money in places to continuously build into a better future. One thing that people always get misconstrued, and I say it all the time, it's such an easy thing to articulate. a utopia does not exist, but we could always strive towards it. Progress should always happen. You should always strive for perfection. And the reason why I keep saying that to people is to make people understand that society could always get better. People can always get better. It will never be perfect. That's impossible. I'm not into impossibilities. But you always reach for that perfection. You always reach for that utopia. So I just don't know if he's truly doing everything he can. But it's hard to say without really knowing who he is or what he does. Like, that's literally can't go for it. Um, I do think some people came here antagonistic, and I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with it because of people's perceptions of billionaires. I do think Frederick was there to ask for money. I'm not gonna lie. I just he was for sure there just to ask for money. But I also think that one other guy was a socialist, and he got owned when it came to China. Ah, man, I would have wanted more not pertinent, but more potent questions to really dive into the role of billionaires in society. Overall, W video, in my opinion, I thought it was pretty good, and everybody in the comment section is destroying Frederick. So, with that said, yeah, I found Frederick. I'm not watching. I'm not reading those comments. Y'all have a good one. Take care.